Hi, this is Dominic Sperano of Sperano Arts, Master Potter and Ceramic Educator. The following video was made at Clay House, Brooklyn. This, which is a red rib, or a yellow rib. And you can get these at Mud Tools. You can buy it on Blick.com, Amazon, Clay, wherever, like Ceramic Supply. They have them on a million different websites. And I really recommend them. The color corresponds to its level of flexibility. So, as you can see, the red can really bend. The yellow can kind of bend. There's a blue, there's a green. They bend less and less. In your kits, you should all have a wood rib. It's not as flexible, clearly, because it's wood, but it's softer than using metal. And this is really great for doing straight lines. And if you need to make a curve, you can make it work by rotating it if you need to. Finally, you probably also have in your kit a metal rib. I never recommend throwing with these, simply because they're that sharp, right? Your hands are wet, it's a little slippery. It's a really good way to slice your hand. Not like terrible, but it's annoying. I've known people to do it, and even I've cut myself on them. They're really great as trimming tools. You can hold them and like shave off a lot. So I say don't throw with those. Simply, if you're gonna do like a mug or something, like a straight cylinder. You don't do it immediately. You usually get 1 to 2 pulls in first. Right? What I recommend is before you use it, trim away the base just a little. You don't have to go through the whole rigmarole, but you want to be able to get down to the back as best you can. Okay? Using the red rib. I'm going to still hold my left hand like I'm throwing, but instead of having a sponge, I'm going to have the rib in it. I'm going to make contact with it on the flat side like so. You're going to notice that they all have like these holes in it. I believe they're there so that way you can touch your fingers together and get a better grip, because if it was just pure flat, you can hold it, but it's a little slippery. I'll come up against it. I'll tend to bend a little bit as I get to the bottom, and I'm pushing in and coming straight up with it. I am using it just as if it were a sponge. And I get soft at the top. Okay? 2 things happen. 1, I help push it in and come up. 2, I'm taking off all the really wet clay, which will reduce the amount of drying time and make it a little bit structurally more sound. Next, I'll go to my wood rib, and I always have it with the pointier side down like this. I find if I do it this way, I get more drag, which I don't want. We're holding it like this, I get less drag. What's that?
I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah, I get less drag and more control. Now you see, I came in a little bit when I use the red rib. If you want to come up closer, you're welcome to, by the way. Like you're all looking from like down there. This is a small piece. You see, I kind of came in, tapered in a little bit. I'll use a sponge and I'll push into this, and this is really how I'll get stuff to be straight. A long time ago I was cooking and something happened and something boiled over or something didn't go right. My mother, may she rest in peace, looked at me and said, "Never show fear. Never freak out." So anyway, I'm pushing. And I'm just gently pushing into the rib. See how it creates a straighter line that way? You can push in with the rib or push out with your fingers or sponge. Either way, it makes something nice and straight. Now, because it got wonky on me, I simply trim the top. Compress it, and you'll barely ever know it. Now you can do more than just go straight with this. Hello.
Where are you guys working? Hi, I just wanted to find out about what you guys do.
I'm going to do like a bowl, in which case I'm going to go lower.
I wanted to figure out if there's like 2 or 3 people. Just like make something.
And open wider. I'm going to push out a little bit and then come up. I find using a rib creates a uniform curve for my bowls. So like all my bowls like work and nest nicely because I'll use this. I'm not going to focus on the flats on. I'm now going to use the curve. I tend to hold it either one hand or two, but usually two. I start in the middle. I work my way out. Take off the slurry. Now we flip and I hold it like this. And I push in. And I really let the curve of the rib determine the curve of the bowl. See? I once watched a video on YouTube of someone using an old CD to get like a really round bowl. That's pretty much all they're good for now anyway. Right? Everything else is more or less the same.
How do you do it with our wooden ones?
I'll show you that in a second. If I was doing this with the wooden one, I'd still have to trim this away. But I can take this again, pointed side in. This is important too. You want to keep your wood one as clean as possible. Basically all of them clean. What happens is that the clay will stick to the clay, and that's how you either lose it and it goes this way or it torques. So I come in kind of on an angle, see? Not straight, but here. And I start turning it and rotating. See? So I came in, up, and that way. You can make any sort of flat edge work, like say the rim, right? You just gotta move it. Okay? If you hang out too long, you'll get straight, which if you want straight, that's great. But if you move it, you can get curve and roundness. Okay? Now the last thing. And this goes to what you wanted to learn about closed forms.
Oh yeah, I saw someone do a vase yesterday and they like used it on like shape the different like stages of the vase.
Yep. If you're going to do any sort of vase in any way, you want to start first with a cylinder. It could be a bud vase, tall neck vase, doesn't matter. You want to start pushing it in a little, and you do that with your fingers. But then I like to then move to the ribs. I'll start with I'll trim away. And since this is what everyone has, this is what I'll start with. You could do this. You can also do this if you need to. This shorter flat side, if you feel it's more comfortable to control. I'm going to use the curve here. See how I'm turning it? I'm touching just enough to bring up that bit of clay. Okay? So quiet. Because I'm down lower, I'm going to turn and use the flat side a little bit more. You see that even creates roundness.
Yeah.
It's all about the amount of pressure you put into it.
That was really good.
If you like,
That was very satisfying.
if you really like push into it, it's bad. You're soft with it, you're good. And I relaxed most of the top. Okay? You can do a lot of shaping with ribs. You're going to mess up when you start using them at first. So start using them the simplest way. Just work.
Too advanced for me.
Just work keeping things straight. Keeping this straight and throwing into it and pushing into it. Get a sense of that. Over time, you'll understand that, well, I can just turn this any way I need to, and that works for me.
Yeah.
Okay?
Awesome.
So that's how you throw with the ribs.
Very cool.
There you go. In terms of what you want to learn. It's easier to do this with one of these. You keep gently pushing in to the point like you're making a vase.
Nice.
Then you do this. Is one of the only times I really recommend doing this. Collaring.
Yeah.
So you
I
get
think I
like
made the mistake of like collaring like this instead of having the support
Yeah.
finger, right?
I tend to use 2 fingers, maybe 3.
Okay.
And a lot of people just hang out too long, they keep squeezing it. You gotta move your hands up. See? Pinch it in a little, move your hands up.
I feel like that's really good when you get to the stage too, because then you're not getting so much water inside. Like if
Yep.
I was trying to like dig my hand in there, it would be pretty
Eventually,
bad. You can trim the top too, right?
you trim the top.
You can almost like make it a salon design and just trim the
Mhm.
messiness.
Eventually, though, you just get to this point where it's like, all right, commit. Okay?
That makes total sense. And you can just do like a little pin
Close it
pull
over.
or something.
So now, once you close it, you have air pressure inside. which means you can adjust this shape however you want.
Nice.
Okay.
Yep.
I want to make it like a perfect round sphere thing, I can do it. But usually what you want is to make a jar of some kind out
Right,
of this.
that's what, and then you kind of close the top.
So making a jar, you want to make some kind of handle. It's almost like I'm trimming now.
Like a pumpkin.
Oh yeah, I've made pumpkins. I've made pumpkins and like you carve them.
And then you
right?
can kind of manipulate the shape that you want between
Oh,
the
yeah.
handle or the top of the jar and the
You can
the jar.
manipulate the shape as it turns. You can take it off and like shape it however you want.
So then for this, I'm assuming you're getting it to a drier leather phase and then cutting the top off
Suede,
and then
suede to leather.
And then
And-
trimming them almost like together and then
Separate.
creating separate.
Yeah. You can't, I mean, you could try and trim it in a chuck, but if you cut this off, you can then turn it upside down and trim it normally, saving you having to use a chuck.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is to cut a design into it that sort of interlocks a bit. So you don't want to just like go straight, right? You want to kind of cut and maybe go down
And then like
over.
turn like a ridge kind of.
Yeah, something that won't just make it slide right off.
Like the top could almost be like, you could say like a ledge and then the top gets to sit in that ledge kind of or something.
Yeah.
You could trim it smaller.
You could do that. I'll do something, like I would do something like this. So, you know, you have it here, here, and then have something like
Oh,
that
I see,
there.
like a key and like a little key.
So that way it's not going to just slide any which way.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, they're great as treasure boxes.
Right.
You know, people love that.
I really like that. Cool.
Yep, so that's how you do
Thanks
it.
for sharing it. I need to get another. I bought this one kind of just like out of
That's a good one. It's a standard one.
It was from Blick. It's not so soft.
Ordering online is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can order directly from Mud Tools.
Like my tools.
The color will get richer, not necessarily darker. Let me see what? One more time. No, the more that you layer it, the less streaky it will be.
And then if I paint the whole thing one color, let it dry, and go on top, will the colors mix? Or
No,
will-
they'll layer right on top. Yeah. So you could do the whole thing in black and then paint white on it if you
I
wanted
was
to.
gonna do like stripes on mine.
Yeah.
Like a different color stripe or something.
What's going on there, Talia?
I don't know.
Okay.
Trying to figure out my shopping.
Let me come over and take it off.